time I have an idea, I just go buy a domain, and those kind of serve as like a bookmark for those ideas, and then I decide if I'm going to do something with it or not. So I sat on this for a couple of maybe a year or two. I played around with different names. Essentially, I just saw some of this hunter shaming, bullying kind of stuff going on. I was
Yeah.
bullied as a kid, so I have a low threshold of tolerance for that stuff.
Mm.
Insofar as like I want to go to people's defense. And I was looking at like Humble Hunter, and that just didn't feel like it was going to do anything. It was also taken because there's like Humble Huntress, and I was like, this isn't good. I do a lot of reading in the business side of things, and a book I read called Play Bigger talked about doing things different, not better. And I'm like, I'm not going to do certain things better than some of the players in the category, but I can certainly do things different. And Okayest felt like it also has to be memorable. You know, you think of like Dan Infalt, the hunting beast. He is the hunting beast. You think of the lone wolf, Cody DeQuisto. He is the lone wolf.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the RedBeard Outdoors podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and here at RedBeard Outdoors, I talk about faith, family, fitness, and the outdoors. And today, being Saturday, you get a special guest, full-length edition of the podcast. I've got Eric Clark on here from the Okayest Hunter. He's got a podcast of his own that I recommend. He's awesome, guys. I'm telling you, it's hilarious going and seeing the things that he puts out. And the fact that he's building off of the Okayest Hunter in and of itself is just hilarious. So I recommend you go and check his stuff out. You're definitely going to enjoy this conversation that we had today to get to know him a little bit more and what he does over at the Okayest Hunter. But before we get into that, guys, I do want to let you know that there is a special giveaway announcement in this video. So if you're watching this the day it came out and during the week that it came out, there's a special giveaway for you guys from SheepFeet, and I'll get into that a little bit more. Check it out, guys. The link is also down below if you want to check out the information on that giveaway. On top of that, I want to give a huge shout out to all the partners of the show. There are so many brands that believe in me as I believe in them and use their products, and I'm excited to use their products as we go out into elk season now that we are kicking off September. I will be in the woods by the time this episode comes out, so I am super stoked and hopefully able to hear some bugles here the first week of September. So with that being said, guys, hope you have a fantastic day. Enjoy this conversation with Eric. And of course, if you want to support, you're getting any last minute gear, maybe you need some supplements from Phorm, good old energy drink from Phorm, or anything along those lines, go snag it down below, get the best price possible. Support me here at the show and support the partners of the show as well, as you get the best gear that I recommend and that I use. Now let's get into the conversation here with Eric. Everyone, and welcome back to the RedBeard Outdoors podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and we've got an amazing guest for you guys today. We have Eric Clark from the Okayest Hunter. It's an awesome name. It stands out. I feel like we've all felt like that at some point in our lives where we're just okay and we come back with these massive sheds or whatever you find out in the woods that end up being these little dink spikes. And I love it. It's just an awesome name. I love the content you put out where you just kind of make fun of those general ideas of hunting that we've all felt at some point, and it's a good laugh. So, but with that being said, Eric, for people that don't know who you are you, man?
Hey, no, thanks for having me. I'm always excited to talk Okayest Hunter. It's like one of my favorite things to talk about. No, happy to be here. And as far as who I am, I'm just some outdoor idiot. Like I just use a lot of self-deprecation in terms of humor, and we try to relate. And typically anything that I fail at or fumble with or F up, I'm sure. So I'll just share that. And I'm like, everyone's like, oh, me too. I've done that too. Or that's happened to me. So the human experience is an experience we can all come around the campfire of deer camp, and that experience goes into deer hunting and deer camp and all that stuff. So, you know, you're not the only one, you know, lobbing arrows or dropping stuff and playing Plinko. Like we've all been there, done that. And if you haven't, you're just lying. You're just lying, and it's okay, you know, to make those mistakes. It's our best teacher. So,
yeah. No, exactly. I love it. And it is, I do recommend people go out and check out your page. You make light of these situations that, you know, honestly, I feel like everyone's experienced at some point. I'm still new. I consider myself new in the hunting area. I've been hunting now for, what's almost 10 years. 7, 8 years, and been through a lot of different experiences, and still don't consider myself anywhere near having a lot of experience out in the woods, but I've experienced a lot of the things that you talk about. And so it's very relatable. And I think that's something that a lot of people look for. You look at these people that set such a high standard with their hunts, whether they hunt on private or public, it doesn't really matter. They set these high standards, and a lot of people want to kill those animals that are at that caliber, at that level, and we may not be there yet, or even want to have the perfect hunt where you go out opening morning and you find this massive buck or bull or whatever it is that you're hunting, and it doesn't ever happen that way in reality. So all of those things, and then of course the conversations with the spouse when you come back home, the jokes that get made, and why do you go waste so much time in the mountains, you never come back with anything, and all of that. So absolutely love it. What got you started? Well, first off, where did the name come from? I think it's kind of obvious, but sometimes there's cool backstory. So what did the name come from? Is that something just popped into your head, or did it come from something specific?
No, it was just I'm a domain hoarder. I don't have an idea. I just go buy a domain, and those kind of serve as like a bookmark for those ideas, and then I decide if I'm going to do something with it or not. So I sat on this for a couple of maybe a year or two. I played around with different names. Essentially, I just saw some of this hunter shaming, bullying kind of stuff going on. I was bullied as a kid, so I have a low threshold of tolerance for that stuff. Insofar as like I want to go to people's defense. And I was looking at like Humble Hunter, and that just didn't feel like it was going to do anything. It was also taken because there's like Humble Huntress, and I was like, this isn't good. And I do a lot of reading in the business side of things, and a book I read called Play Bigger talked about doing things different, not better. And I'm like, I'm not going to do certain things better than some of the players in the category, but I can certainly do things different. And Okayest felt like it also has to be memorable. You think of like Dan Infalt, the hunting beast. He is the hunting beast. You think of the lone wolf, Cody DeQuisto. He is the lone wolf. You have Bud Fisher's alter ego, Rut Daniels. Like you have these iconic things that live in the deer hunting world as brands or people or names. And hopefully, if you hear Okayest Hunter, you think, I mean, not that I want people to think of Eric Clark. That's not the point. But I ran into someone camping this last weekend who I've never met in my life. He was walking with his wife around the camp trails, and he's like, I recognize you. You're the Okayest Hunter. I was like, oh shit, well, that's crazy. Small world, man. Good to meet you. Like, so different, not better, and then something that actually stands out and can be memorable. You don't have to think really hard about what was it called again. Was it out something outdoors? Like it's pretty easy to just go, oh yeah, Okayest Hunter. And World's Okayest Hunter is and has been a thing, but it's also a thing for everything. World's Okayest Dad, golfer, hunter, mom, blah 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 blah. So their trademark doesn't actually stand up. It's actually like being demarked. Because it's too obtuse, and ours stands as just Okayest Hunter. So it's kind of cool.
No, that makes sense, and that's cool. I like hearing backstories behind names like that, because it definitely makes sense. And I would agree with you. There's a lot of people. I feel like there's a lot of outdoorsmen that can relate to having been bullied as a younger kid as well, for whatever it may be. Some of us, like myself, I don't feel like I was ever necessarily bullied because I didn't let it get to that point. I leaned into it rather than getting
Smart.
upset by it. Being a ginger fat kid and the only Mormon in my high school, it was just, there was a lot of stuff that was constantly thrown my way. So I just kind of leaned into it and laughed at it, and then became the kid that was fun to laugh with, So, but I definitely,
as a kid, that would have been good wisdom to have. That
yeah. And I don't know how I came across that, to be honest with you. I just it just happened. But I definitely understand how that could have easily turned into being bullied, and I have a very low threshold or tolerance for that as well, because I feel like kids are mean sometimes, man, and it's a lot of learned behavior from home, and so that's why I feel like dads are such an important part of society. You definitely form the way your kids speak to other kids, how you react to situations. In turn, is how they end up reacting to other kids and treating others. So I definitely understand that. So definitely appreciate again that you highlight those things, and you make light of it. You lean into it. You laugh with it, and a lot of people obviously enjoy what you put out there. So, I guess, why did you decide to go with the podcast? Because a lot of people, there's different sources of media. You can go full time into, Instagram, TikTok, that kind of deal. You can go really hard into podcasting, which you've done really well. You got some really good partners, but on top of that, you put out good content and good conversations. And then you could go full time YouTube, where you get basically a whole media production company going to have a good solid YouTube. So why'd you choose the podcast route?
Yeah, to answer that question, you got to kind of get in the DeLorean and go back to 2012 or something. I've been podcasting, I think, since 2012. My first ever podcast was called The Wildernet. It was a way to like talk about outdoors in a modern way and use technology in ways that would enable outdoor activity rather than prohibit it. And I did that with a nerdy buddy of mine who told me about podcasts, and I didn't know what the hell they were.
Mm-hmm.
And so after doing that with him for a little bit, I had this app called Where to Hunt and a Facebook page with about 10,000 followers, which at the time you could still actually reach people through a following on Facebook. And I thought, what a great way to connect and build off of a community. Let's do a podcast. And now that I knew how to do it, because my buddy showed me the way and created a proprietary custom or content management system, or CMS, I was like, all right, let's give that a shot. Help me stand this thing up. So he did. And our first guest ever was Jared Scheffler, and I was nervous as shit. And I was started off for that brand in, I think, 2013 into 2012, somewhere in there, and it did fine. But it was super haphazard. Like, I would get guests whenever I would get guests, and then after the recording would be done, I would produce whenever I would produce and publish whenever I would publish. Like, nothing made sense. There's no consistency, no it didn't. It just was all over the place. That continued on, that all over the place nature of it. I'd give these ebbs and flows, like a podcast once every Tuesday of the week for 4 weeks, and then I'd hit a wall where like life would happen and I would stop again. So you'd see these spattering of episodes, and it wasn't until I think 2019 when I was like, I want to try doing a show every day, every Tuesday of every week on Tuesdays for a year and see what happens. And well, here we are. That's what happened. It just kept going. And we do it a little bit different. We broadcast live. The reason I do it live is because we get comments, but also we have a live listener call-in function to the show where people can literally call in like an old-time radio show. We have a call queue and a call attendant, and we can park all those calls. Not my cell phone. It's like a literal number designated for just this, so I don't get weird prankers and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's a two-way dialogue, and I think it's a little bit, again, different than what I've seen elsewhere, and I see other folks doing that now, and I think that's great. Trying to create a sense of community and create a two-way dialogue with the podcast rather than just talking at people. It's a consumption model, but bringing them in creates a lot of loyalty. If they get to say, I was on this podcast because I called in, they hear their voice, they share it with their friends. It's a little bit more impactful and meaningful, in my understanding, and we've garnered a lot of loyal listeners over the years through this mechanism, and by being consistent. So why podcasting? It was a long time ago. Started rolling it, and it's just been something I've really thoroughly enjoyed. Like, I enjoy now the studio that we've built, having my buddies come here. We added on Greg Tubbs, and I think 2019, 2020, somewhere in there, Greg came on board, and then he was a listener of the show, so we connected, and then started another podcast called Huntland, HNTLND, that got deprecated pretty quick. It just didn't have a lot of time. It was a rocket ship of a podcast. It was pretty cool. Then somewhere along the way, I met a guy named Tyler Meaden, who was a listener of the podcast. Got coffee with him. He's in my local community in Wisconsin here, and I pitched the idea of Okayest Hunter to him, and he's like, I'm in. And it was at that point, summer 2019, that I realized I couldn't do everything by myself. So if I was going to do another thing, I needed help. And then somewhere along the way, Greg's like, hey, I know this guy, Derek, who's a pretty cool dude. So I was like, hey, yeah, come on the podcast, man. Like, he had been on the show at some point in the past. And I was like, you want to come hang out every Tuesday? You're welcome to. Like, I'm not paying you guys. I'm not getting paid. No one's getting paid. Like, you want to come and drink some beers and bourbon in the basement of my house every Tuesday for the rest of forever? Like, come on in. And he did. And so we have me, Greg Tubbs, and Derek Melkor are the hosts of the Okayest Hunter podcast. So yeah, that's I think a long answer to a question as to why podcast, but really I just enjoy it. I like talking to people about this stuff.
Yeah. and that seems to be a common theme amongst people that continue to do podcasts, whether it be maybe they do a podcast for a little while and then they shift to kind of a rebranding and start a new one, but really it's a similar theme, or people that have been doing the podcast for years, like yourself. You just enjoy good conversation. I mean, that's really what it boils down to is you enjoy having good conversation. You're able to feed off of other people. Like you said, you've got other hosts, which is smart, because once you start scaling, you definitely can't do everything and have a life on top of it. It turns into everything becomes the podcast. And so that's definitely something that's important, and cool to have a support system and a group of friends and individuals that enjoy what you do as well. Because it could go, it's very easily, I've seen it happen to where it goes the other way too, where everyone starts fired up, has this amazing idea, and then they're either not pulling their weight or things weren't clearly communicated, and it could even break up friendships, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
so, there's both ways, and I'm glad to hear that it's gone the good way for you guys. Because again, like I said, you guys put out really good stuff. It's a lot of fun to hear what you guys put out, and to see you guys continually progress with the conversations that you have. So with that, you're based out of what state again?
Wisconsin. Yep.
Wisconsin. Okay. All right, cool. So up in Wisconsin, obviously whitetail is a big thing. And guys that are out there that haven't seen whitetail that come from Wisconsin, they're built different, guys. Like the deer up there, even their small whitetails seem big compared to. So I grew up in North Carolina, and they look like dogs compared to some of the deer. Just the bodies. I'm not even talking antlers. Just the bodies of the deer up in Wisconsin seem to get a little bit bigger. And so, but when did you get into hunting? Did you start a different route in the outdoors, maybe fishing or anything like that? Or how did you get into the hunting scene?
Yeah, I mean, hunting and hunting scene, I think, are maybe two different things, but
Yeah,
um,
I guess you're right.
the
How'd you get into hunting? Let's start there.
yeah. So I want to actually circle back on one point you made about the getting people that are hyped and they start and then it kind of fails. There's just an interesting thread there, and I felt I'll come back to the question at hand.
No,
But
for sure.
one thing I pride myself on, and I take a lot of inspiration from Gary Vaynerchuk. I have for years. I got to meet him in 2019 and spend some time up in New York with him and his team. And since then, I've really just tried to go do the things that he says to go do all the time. And one of those things is like give without expectation. Don't expect others to do what you do. It's like literally, it's my business, and I should never therefore expect them to care about it as much as I do. So I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I also recognize I'm not paying anybody, and so the analogy I've used with both Greg and Derek and a couple others is like, hey, I'm basically on this road trip from, like, let's just say, New York to California. I'm going anyways. I'm paying for the gas. I got the vehicle. I'll cover room and board. If you guys just want to hop in and ride along and be support, like mental support along the road trip, and take the wheel every now and again, or like jump in or create some memories and have some fun, great. If you want to hop out at some point, it's totally fine, because I'm still going regardless. And I expect nothing of you other than, like, I want you to want to do this. And if that's not the case, then you don't need to do it. And if it's not fun, then we should probably all not do it. And so that's bred what I think is some really fostered some really great, endearing, actual friendships. Like, these are some of my best friends now. I don't think I talk to anybody more than other than my wife, and she might argue that I talk to them more than her. So yeah, just give without expectation and give more than you take, and don't expect others to care about your baby as much as you do. It's not theirs. Those are my little nuggets there. But as far as how I got into hunting, it's just something that my dad hunted. So as a kid, he'd be gone at bow hunting, and I'd see these pictures in his photo album of, like, these snow-covered pines of northern Wisconsin and these logging roads of just thick snow, and his cool truck and four-wheel drive with muddy tires, and it just looked really, like, romantic to me, and something that I wanted to, like, be a part of. My dad departed for a little bit out of my life for family reasons. Wasn't a great thing, but it is what it is. Maybe who I am, so it's all good. And my dad's a big part of my life and my kids' life now. But it left something in my bones that I wanted to be in the woods. So even that in that gap was about from 10 to 15. I found myself just going into the nearby woods and like tracking deer, climbing trees, and just sitting and enjoying nature and like watching these animals and creatures. And I would track them and so forth. And I would watch all these hunting shows on Saturday mornings, whatever was on free TV. I don't know what we had. Um, my mom wouldn't let me get a gun, a BB gun, none of those things, and I just became more and more obsessed. Maybe that entrepreneurial spirit of like oppositional defiant disorder made me want to go do it more because I couldn't. I don't know. But somewhere along the way, my dad came back around. I got into hunter safety around age 16 when I could drive to it. It was a buddy of his that was putting on the course in his basement with a bunch of other folks. Certified through the DNR here, and it was that later that season, and when I was 16 years old, 17, somewhere in there, I went out hunting with my dad in the Nicolay National Forest for a gun hunt, and I went to his deer camp with his buddies, and very different deer camp than when he was young, but nonetheless, I was hooked immediately. I love the suffering and the cold, sitting in the tree stand. Like I love every bit of it. I didn't get into bow hunting until I was like 21 or 22. I'm 38 now, so I've only been bow hunting for a little bit. I didn't kill my first deer with a bow until 2019. I was probably about 30-ish years old. And that's when all this kind of started, essentially, is like I posted that kill. It was a doe fawn. I had to earn a buck on the property I was hunting, so I was happy to take a doe. It was from the ground at like 15 yards. It was a pretty high adrenaline hunt, even though it was like a doe fawn. And then be like, oh, things, my dog's bigger than that. Why would you kill that thing? It's still got spots, blah, 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 all the stuff. And I was like, I was pretty proud of that.
You're like, I really liked that though. Come on. Like
the drag was easy. The meat was good. Like, what do you guys want from me? And fuck off, kind of thing. But, yeah, so that's how I got into hunting. As far as how I got into the industry or whatever is the where to hunt stuff, where I had this app that showed occupied and unoccupied hunting access based on other active users. And I was obsessed with this idea for a long time. I got sick of walking out on public land and seeing a red flashlight or hearing a whistle, or me having a red flashlight or do the whistle. I was like, this is stupid. We live in a modern world. Like, how am I still bumping into people? This shouldn't be something that I have to deal with. Like, I don't want to ruin your hunt. I don't want you to ruin mine. We see there's other cars at the trailhead. Like, that means someone's out here. I'd rather not bump into them. And if you're lucky, usually when someone's there getting ready with you, not with you, but like at the same time, you can be like, hey, I'm going this way. I'm going that way. I'll try to stay away from you. I'm going to this area. I'm going to that area. I'm not going to give them my actual spot. But it was like this courtesy. Like, you're not going to go in with this other dude you don't even know. So the app was a way to do that. And that's where the podcast was born. That's how I kind of got my start in all this stuff. And I'm a marketer by trade. So I just kind of gravity pulled me in deeper and deeper, further. And I continue to get closer to the epicenter of things. And now I'm working with some of the biggest brands in the category, both at my day job and through this entity. So it's a good time, man. This is my jam. Like, whitetail and business are my two biggest passions outside of my family. So I don't think I could be any luckier and fortunate and blessed in life to be where I'm sitting today.
I love it, man. That's an awesome explanation and breakdown for people. Cause honestly, you got into it for the right reasons. You got into it because you were enjoying time with family, because you saw, like you said, your dad's photo album and things that you really enjoyed, seeing. I'm sure it was a lot warmer looking at the photos than it was actually getting out there. But
yeah, when I'm like
it's
talking like, Dad, I can't feel my fingers, and the key's under the wheel well. I'm like, the key's in a block of ice. I can't get it. I'm locked out of the truck. I'm about to get frostbite. Better get over here.
Tell me about it. I was going back and looking at some GoPro footage from this last November, my first time whitetail hunting, and I had like frozen like icicles here and here in my beard, and I was like, how did I not realize that? But yeah, my face warmer did its job. But no, the those pictures being beautiful and obviously attracting you to what you wanted to do. You did that not to get any kind of gain, not to try and make a name for yourself, but because you genuinely wanted to get out there. And I think you hit something really important as well, that you shot a doe that maybe have been smaller or whatever. Some people even look down on shooting does, which I don't agree with personally. And I think there's
I would agree.
Yeah, there's definitely a time and a place, because it's not like, I love the idea, kind of like you were saying with that photo album. Now Instagram is that way, in my opinion, is where it should be, and why I gravitated towards Instagram originally compared to what it is now. It's getting people excited and sharing those photo albums per se, of your life and experiences that you really enjoy. My wife always laughs because I'm constantly taking videos and pictures when I'm out with the family and kids. Um, and it's just something that I love to have that I can go back and look at with the kids. Cause now we're looking back at, my kids as babies, they're now 7 and 9, or our youngest, and showing them videos of themselves. They laugh at them. They're getting a kick out of them. Like, if I didn't have my phone or a camera or something, I would be telling them this, but it wouldn't be the same as them watching a video of it. So all of those things are really important. I love that that's why you got into it. And then, of course, you naturally gravitated towards, this is the stuff that I enjoy using. Why not, provide value to these companies and work for and with them in various capacities. Now, I do want to highlight to people as podcasters, this is not the full-time gig. You've got quote unquote, I call them 9 to 5s. It sounds like your job's very similar to mine, where you kind of make your own hours as long as you're taking care of your customers and hitting certain numbers for your company. But your 9 to 5, your real job is still in the outdoors industry. You just love it. You've gravitated towards that, and so that's awesome. For people that don't know, most YouTubers, and it's funny that this is coming up, the hunting public put up a video a couple days ago that popped up in my YouTube feed, where they talk about it as well, how they, like most YouTubers, podcasters in the outdoor space, it's not their full-time gig. And they have, like you said, you're a marketer by trade. They have skills outside of hunting full-time and talking into a microphone full-time that allow them to pay the bills and grow financially outside of the hunting space. So I'm glad you hit on that as well.
Yeah, I think it's a dream for a lot of folks. Certainly was one of mine. Like, I still believe that this could be a full-time thing at some point. But I at one point, before I landed where I am with my 9 to 5, so to speak, is I was, sorry about, I'm not gonna be able to stop all the sounds coming in. I was pretty desperate to get out of my 9 to 5, and I was like hopeful to make any move I could that would get me where I wanted to be. And so now that I have that, I can be as patient as humanly possible, which means I don't have to be desperate about anything. Desperation is a pretty stinky odor. And with our brand partners that we have on the podcast side, like, Okayest Hunter is codified as a company and as an LLC partnership in June of I think it was June 1st, 2020, the height of the pandemic almost, or like, well, the hockey stick part was starting to scale up, and it's 4 years. I haven't made a dime off of this thing. $0. Every single dollar has been invested back, and we've been investing very, very heavily this last year in our network of growing the podcast network. But the brand partners I've turned down a number of them, and I've turned down some that have been like significant, where like the business needs operational money from a cash flow standpoint to continue to run. For some of the things that we're paying for to keep the lights on, and the tools that we use, all the software and stuff. And those decisions, though hard, because it's appetizing to think, oh, they'll give me, whatever it is, $5,000 for the year, and we could use that money. But it's not a fit. And if it's not a fit, then I can't justify talking about it to my audience if it's not authentic. And my audience will know. Like, our listeners will know. If it's not authentic, they'll know.
Oh, yeah.
They'll pick up on that. They'll be like, this is full of shit. And then the moment that happens, the whole thing falls apart, because then I've lost the thing that makes it special. So, having the ability to be patient with this thing as it grows and hopefully makes something of itself, whether it does or doesn't, I'll probably continue to podcast regardless. But I think it makes all the difference in the world. Versus, I think some folks, they want the sponsorship as a token of affirmation that they've made it, that they have this badge of affiliation with these brands. They get to look like they've got these accolades, and therefore now they're part of it. And it just looks so different than anyone might imagine. And some of the folks that put that out there, it's like they might just have a product deal. They might be doing photos on the side. And with that comes a logo, because the brand's like, of course you can share a logo. It's more visibility, top of funnel awareness. And all we had to do is give you some product. Like, brands are smitten to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Because they need
100%.
help. They need some exposure, and they could use some content and so forth. But to get money coming in, you have to have some real tangible value to bring to the table. And it's not just numbers. Like, our numbers aren't the biggest numbers in the category. I think we do pretty well from downloads and listens and all that. But fit is our selling proposition more than anything. Like the people we speak to are the weekend warriors, the everyday guys and gals, the ones that aren't the aspirational hunters. Like we're not the Remy Warrens of the world or the Sam Soholtz. I think those guys are great dudes. I know them. But to that end, we're the one that everyone else goes, that's me. They nudge their buddy like, dude, we totally did that last year or this season, or like, I think the aspirational crowd is a good crowd, and they help pull a lot of people in. We're the everyday crowd, and we're the voice of the people in my mind. Like whether we are or not, like that's what I envision us trying to get to. And that means brands can reach the guys that are, there's more people like the Okayest Hunter than there are the, I wouldn't say elitist. I don't want to paint that in a bad light, but there's more Okayest Hunters than elite hunters, if you will. And so that value proposition has been honed and crafted based on how our mission is built and our ethos and our vision. And it all starts to work together. And it's this, the narrative I could paint looking in the rearview mirror is this eloquent like narrative of, oh, it worked out perfectly. And I'm telling you, man, like every time we get to a new stage of this thing, I continue to not have a clue what the hell I'm doing because I've never been here before every time we get to somewhere new. So like, I was like, you're doing great. I see all your stuff here. I'm like, yeah, I have no clue what I'm doing. Like, I have no clue. I'm just trying to make the best choice with the information that I have at hand and be as moral and ethical as humanly possible and stay true to myself with this thing. Because if it gets squirrely, then I won't feel comfortable pushing things I don't believe in. It just feels weird to me. Like I'm never going to be that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's totally bad either. Like there's room for that stuff. I'm just not the one to do it.
Yeah, and I follow along those same things with partnerships. It's something. There's definitely a bunch of different ways to go about it. And anyone getting into the space or wanting to get into the space, I've had people reach out to me and say, well, how'd you do this and that? And I explained it to them. A lot of people don't want to do the work because the way I do it isn't simply, just basically you try and sell something. Like that's not the case. It's you use the product, you trust the product, and then it's easier to talk about. One of my buddies the other day was saying, he was like, you're one of the most expensive friends I have. I said, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, because anything that you like, I want to buy now because you get so excited about it and you let me borrow it and you do all that. I'm like, well, yeah, it's easy to do when you like something, when you genuinely trust a product or use it. And I love hearing that, it's similar for you. It's not, you're just peddling some Chinese stuff.
If we didn't have Bear Archery as a sponsor, we wouldn't have a bow partner. Like we just, I guess you got a Hoyt hat on. I think Hoyt makes a great product. Matthews makes a great product. That's not when we talk about the demographic I just described. First of all, I believe in their mission. It's very closely tied to ours. Like Fred Bear want to get a bow in everyone's hand at an affordable price. I think as far as us being more of like the conduit for adult onset hunters and people getting into it because we're so silly and not experts and humble and no ego and all that stuff. Like the Fred Bear mission and their product speaks to us in a way that I'm behind regardless of the partnership. The partnership is just like locking arms a little bit more officially and aligning on some of the things they have going on and some things we have going on and supporting each other in those events. And that's great. So now we have that. And but it was a 2-year courting process of going out on some dates and flirting and talking and getting to know each other and like really making sure we were who we thought we were. And then when it finally came to be, it made sense. And again, we could play that long game because as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to do this forever. So like if it needs to take 2, 3, 4 years to do that, that's fine. We're not going anywhere. If you're not going anywhere, if it fits, it fits. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like what did Zach Bryan say in a song? Everything that's meant to be will stay. And the partners we've had for years, like Latitude Outdoors. We've been working with them since they started in 2019. I know those guys well. I love what they do personally. I love what they do as a company. I love their product and innovation. I think there's other good products in the market too. Theirs might not be the best for certain things, but I'm bought in, and we've worked with them for like, it's not some Johnny come lately thing. Like, oh, now Okayest Hunter's repping this or they're repping that. It's like, and we'll try things here and there, but we're human and learning. So like, we'll probably have some failures and things that people be like, I can't believe you did that. It's like, well, that's I'm on the playing field trying to play the game here. So it's hard when you're at the driver's seat to make certain decisions like that.
And the thing is too, like when you're partnered up with companies that you appreciate, and I love that you brought on, the whole 2-year process. It's not one of those things where, because you're not in it for the money, obviously. I'm not either, and that's what, again, it's very relatable what you're saying. Uh, you know, you prefer a brand and you speak highly of that brand, but you also don't go around talking crap on all the other ones. Or if you do, it's very even and it's more like a sibling rivalry kind of deal where you're poking each other in the
Yeah, it
ribs,
can
like,
be
how,
fun.
I'm
It's
better
like
than you.
trucks,
Yeah,
dude. Every truck these days are pretty darn good. Like we're not going to get in this
yeah,
Dodge is better than Ford. Maybe at one thing, maybe their screen is bigger or better, but
hmm
like by and large, you're not going to make a poor choice buying a modern vehicle and spending too
right,
much money. Um, they're all
yeah,
pretty damn good, And I think that's
yeah,
probably true for most products in the marketplace. Like technology's evolved so much across all supply chains that we're dealing with good things by and large. So then it really does become like, what are you bought into from a mission standpoint, customer service,
hmm
the people running the company? Like, is the product genuinely good or not? All that stuff. Because if it wasn't,
yeah.
man, it would be a shitty conversation. Like if Latitude dropped their carbon speed six, and I was like, I don't like these guys. Like they would listen, and then I wouldn't do a video on it.
Brief interruption here, guys. I just want to remind you of this giveaway that we have for a pair of the SheepFeet bombers. These are the stealth bombers, guys. It's got a very thick sole right here, which is different from any other stalking shoe out there. You're going to get the knobbies here on the bottom, and they're in the shape of the SheepFeet logo, and that's going to keep you from slipping everywhere. The felt is going to keep you from being loud. The thickness of that is going to allow you to not get poked by the things that you're stepping on, whether it be rocks or cactus or whatever it is. And then the mesh up here on the top keeps it breathable, lightweight, and allows you to use it in the water if needed. Camp shoe, stalking shoe. If you want a pair of these guys, check out the link down below to get entered. And if you're past the week that this giveaway is live with SheepFeet, that's okay. Go check it out. Get the best price possible over at SheepFeet and use the code listed down below so you can get your pair of SheepFeet or the stealth bombers or any of the other items that they've recently released. So let's get back to this conversation here.
You know, but it
Exactly.
turns out they were a great product, and I do love them. And so like that's just
Yeah.
miss. That's having
Well,
hard.
and that's the thing too is, like when you get to a spot where you're established, you have people reaching out to you and asking you to do videos on this and that. I'm very personally very upfront with companies like, look, I've either got a partner in this area, so I can't promise you anything on this kind of video, or, um, you know, I will more than happily, look at it, but I can't promise you a video until I know, because I'm not going to go on and do clickbait either. Like I don't do the, man, this is the worst XYZ thing on the
I've
market. I
seen
can't
that.
believe
Yeah.
they, like, and you can get so many views. I was talking with someone just at my 9 to 5 about it, how, I handle certain situations differently than other people. Like I don't let things boil over. If I hear someone talking crap about me, and they have a legit reason, I go to them directly, whether via email or whatever. I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry if I stepped on your toes or if I did something wrong. Own up to my problems, and then, let them know, like, hey, this, if I can do anything better, please let me know. Um, I prefer that method with dealing with any company whatsoever in the
Yes, so
podcast space as
Jocko
well.
Jocko Willings is like extreme ownership, Take
hmm
accountability for
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, or just tell them behind the scenes, hey, look, you have a great product in this, this, and this, but it doesn't fit my brand here, or it doesn't do this, and open communication, but not, dropping those videos of like, oh, this is the worst, blah, 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 because you get a crap ton of videos that or views that way, but it's not the brand I want to create.
When you
It's
start to
definitely not
get
the
a
brand
bunch
you
of
guys.
we start to get a bunch of views outside of your core following, it
hmm
it can change how things go from there. We recently had a
hmm
video go more viral than I've ever experienced in my life with any of things I've done so far. And I'm like, wow, like 97% of the people that have seen us are not following us.
hmm
So that's going to change our engagement rate. That's going to change a lot of things, and I don't think it's necessarily for the better. So I don't know that I prefer that kind of stuff happening. It just happened
Right.
to happen. It's out of my control. Obviously, if I could control going viral, like a lot of people strive for that, I wouldn't say it's always a good thing. Like
Exactly.
you want depth, not width. You want the right people seeing your content, not the most.
Yeah, and it again goes back to why you got into hunting to begin with. You had a very genuine reason why, and that has translated into the brands you've created, the brands you work with, and your 9 to 5 being in the outdoor space. Um, it's something that, again, people just, if you're out there listening to this and you're trying to get something started, a brand started, whatever, decide from the get-go how you want to handle it, because you can go very different directions based on what your goals and what your mission is. If you're just out there trying to sell stuff, that's one way. Nothing wrong with that. That's your cool, whatever you want to do. If you're trying to build a community, that takes years. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. You
Yeah,
may
if you
bring
build it,
people
they
in
will
with
come
some,
is not the world we live in. That's not how it works.
yeah,
It takes a lot of nurturing and effort, and I think we built a good community, a solid community, strong community, and a genuine one at that, like one that does exist and is there. We could probably do a better job with certain things about, like, nurturing that community directly, but it's tough because it's like we're doing this in the fringe time that we have. Um, Knowing why you want to do something and what you expect out of it. The hunting industry is tiny. Like, it's not a
yeah,
big industry. There's not a lot of money to make. A lot of the companies that do this, like even the big players that make $5 to $10 million a year in annual revenue with 70% profit margins, they still have a day job. And like they're using that, whether it's a manufacturing company or some like high like paying profession, they're funding their hunting brand and siphoning money from their personal pockets. And
mm-hmm.
at some point that's not sustainable. And so it's not entirely the case, but that's often how a lot of it gets started. So like if you're trying to start something and you think you're going to get rich, I mean, maybe. I don't mean to like piss in everyone's Cheerios, but like you might want to have a reality check on what that
Yeah,
actually like. It's hard. It's a grind. And then the hunting community is a disagreeable bunch. Like they are very visceral. We're passionate people. We care deeply about this stuff. So like certain products hit the market, and it's like, you didn't do this right. You could get gobbled up pretty quick, with some pretty poor PR. And so yeah, it's just everything's got to be handled a certain way in this community, and be mindful of all that stuff. But I had a different point. Maybe I
yeah,
was
no,
trying
I
to-
agree. And when you go into even the higher end like productions, for example, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to meet Pedro Ampuero. Um, he does amazing. So he's in Spain. Uh, I didn't realize this until recently when I was talking with him. He's just an amazing individual, awesome dad, loves his family, but also puts out some amazing videos. And he travels the world. He's been here for black bear hunting here in North America. He's gone to Mexico. He's over in Spain. He's over in a whole bunch of different places. So I recommend people go and check his stuff out if you want a good video, because no matter how many times he's killed an animal, he gets super excited, and the emotion just like you can feel it through the video. It's not faked. It's not a second take. Like he's just one of those very genuine individuals. And um, something I found out recently was that he was an engineer before he got into hunting full time. And he built one of the biggest, at the time, it was the biggest. I'm going to mess this up, but it was the largest in a certain category. I want to say it was a solar telescope
Hmm.
that they were building in Hawaii. And as soon as they got done with that project, he quit and went to become the European guy for Kuyu, marketing manager or something like that. And his boss at the time literally looked at him and just said, "So you're going to quit this?" I imagine it was a very high paying job
Yeah.
to go and fold clothes. That's what he said to him. To go and do laundry for a living. And Pedro was like, "Yeah, sure, if that's what you want to call it."
That-
And so even him that's putting out these amazing content pieces, he still has a quote unquote 9 to 5 or real job as the marketing manager for Kuyu in the European area of the world. And so yeah, it's just something. This is hopefully a reality check for a lot of people, that we're not saying don't get into it, but realize it's not just going to be, oh man, I've got a bunch of partners now, I'm paying all my bills and I have enough to save for retirement, and I get to go sit in a tree stand 3 months out of the year. And like it's not like that
Yeah,
at
and
all.
you get your busiest season is hunting season. So like if you start a
Mhm.
hunting company, like guess what you're not going to do in hunting season? You're not going to hunt. You're going to be working on your business.
Yeah.
And it's to a Pedro, that scenario that you just painted. Like I took a pay cut to work in the outdoors. Like I was in IT and I left IT,
Mm.
and I'm not going to share any numbers, but it was a significant salary drop to make that move. And it somewhere along the way it dawned on me when I was miserable at my job and I was desperate to get out and so forth. I was just like, they could offer me another X amount of dollars per year, and like it's just gonna it's just going to fan the flames of my unhappiness. Like I don't,
Mm.
I wouldn't say it was golden handcuffs. Like the IT sector is a very healthy, growing, prospering
Yeah.
sector, and if you have a career in there, you know what I'm talking about. Um, and so I was like, if I stay, I'll keep making more money, but I'm going to keep getting unhappier, and I could care less about IT. Like I just it did nothing for me. Like it wasn't the application I want to apply all my marketing prowess to. So like I think making that move was a move towards pursuing happiness, and that felt hard but good. And now it's starting to really kind of show its face. But it took 2.5 years for
Mm.
that to really start to like make sense for me and my family and everything else we had to go through to get to this point. And luckily I have a very supportive wife that's like, okay, um, you're gonna do what now? Like you're gonna make how much money instead of how much money? Okay, well I trust you'll figure it
Yeah.
out. So yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely interesting dialogue here as far as the conversation and tone of it, but yeah, not that I feel like we're totally peeing in people's Cheerios here, but it's not that you can't do it either. It's really interesting. Like I think a lot of things I do, the first thought I have is like, well, that's not going to work because of this, and the other thing. But the antithesis is like, what if it does work? What if
Mhm.
it does work? What's that path look like? And that's an exciting. Entrepreneurs can get stuck in that because we are overly optimistic. Like we're probably the guys that would get into a fight and not think we'd ever get punched in the face. So even if you win the fight, you're probably going to come out with a couple black eyes or a broken nose or a chipped tooth. Like you go into entrepreneurship, you might win, but you're going to take some blows, and it's
Mm.
going to be harder than you think in ways that you can't imagine.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I couldn't agree with you more. It's then when you're trying to balance everything else, family, kids, family vacations, all this other stuff that you've got on top of trying to create content and all of these other things. And luckily, and I'm sure you've found this as well, but when you invite people on, I feel like a lot of people are willing to share an hour of their day to come on and share their story because a lot of people in the outdoor space do enjoy it. They enjoy just sitting down and having a conversation and sharing that genuineness with somebody. They just don't like, especially the higher tier guys. When you think about, people that have been in the industry for decades at this point, you've got, Cam Haynes, you've got John Dudley, you've got people, up there of that caliber per se, that may seem untouchable. A lot of them are more than willing to sit down when they have a moment and share their story because they do want people to get to know them a little bit better. They just don't necessarily always have the time for it. But I feel like with podcasting, a lot of people do. It's surprising how few no's I've gotten. Honestly, because I went into it with kind of a more realistic, like I'm probably going to get maybe a 50-50. And a lot of people are willing to just say, yeah, sure, just give me some dates and we'll get on the show. I love that about the outdoor space. People want to share their story.
Yeah. When I started doing it in 2012, people were like, so is it like a radio show? Do I have to come to you? I'm not in your state. What is this? Well, how does this work? I'm like, it's a Skype call, and I use a recording software to record our
Oh
conversation.
man, Skype.
That's where
Woo!
it started, man. So
Skype, man, I haven't. Oh my goodness,
you got to use a product
that
called
brings me
Allison
back.
or something like that to record. You
I
do.
can hear the ringing of the Skype ringing right now, like that.
That's how long I've been
That
doing this
specific.
stuff.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so let's kind of go back to what we were talking about here with hunting, and you obviously love whitetails. I am a newbie, even though I grew up in North Carolina. I never really hunted whitetails the way I went out one time with a non-family member. I didn't like the way that it was set up. Now, again, nothing against people that do it that way, but we're in an elevated box blind. There were 3 shooting lanes. There was feed down here. There was a salt lick on this one. There was corn on the ground over here. And I'm like, it's like less than a 100-yard shot with a rifle. Like for me, I was like, this isn't hunting. This is almost going to the grocery store. So I didn't really pursue that personally, and none of my family bow hunted um, growing up, and so I didn't pursue that part. I pursued more of the just fishing for fun and enjoying that kind of recreational activity. But walk people through why for you, because I'm getting back into enjoying whitetails and understanding that, especially as a bow hunter. There's a whole nother level of adrenaline rush that comes to that. But why did you get hooked on whitetails? Why haven't you gone the route of other people that are like, I want to get out west as much as possible, or some other species? Why whitetail for you?
For now, proximity and passion. Like I'm just completely I don't know, like obsessed isn't the right word. Like I am entrenched in whitetail.
Hmm.
Like driving down any road, looking down fields, I'm on a run down a bike path. I see the deer trails going into the tall grass. I'm like, ooh, this is where they're trapped. Like it's never off. It's always on. And when it comes into season, I start to like feel it in my bones in a way that is not. I can't begin to articulate to my wife, and it drives her crazy because like something comes over me completely, and it's like a pit bull locked onto something. I can't even. You cannot get my jaw off of it.
Hmm.
So I've done turkey hunting. It's cool. It's fine. It's not the same thing. Like it's a different caliber of animal. The way, all the tradition, all the stuff that has gone into it, it makes up the whole entire thing. The anticipation, that the deer camp stuff. Like I also love gun hunting and bow hunting, and both for very different reasons. The bow hunting stuff has become incredible, and I have really enjoyed the stage that I'm at in bow hunting right now, where I'm like canoeing out to spots in my solo canoe
Hmm.
and getting, I just love the adventure part of it and that unscripted part of things. And I like public land because it's like you never know what you're going to get. I like the challenge. I like all of those things. And I think, to your point about the box plan, I would hate that. Just if someone just curated that hunt for me, I would hate it. But if I actually bought land, owned the land, had to work the land, build the box blind, I would have a different appreciation for that hunt. Maybe as I'm aging up, if I get to that point in life where I can do those things, I would then like really like that. But if someone just put me in there, I'm like, not a chance. I want to go play chess. Like I'm not trying to, play the computer on difficulty level freaking beginner. Like I'm want to go see what I'm made out of here and what I can accomplish. So yeah, it's a whole thing. And I would love to go out west. That's definitely on the list for me. But at the stage of life I'm in, I have 2.5, 4.5, and a 6.5-year-old, and my wife's going to school for a master's degree. I'm trying to juggle all these business things and working a career, and all my kids were born in September, so like that's also a big prohibiting factor. Like I'm gonna go hunt elk. It might be with a gun and not in September with the bow. So I definitely want the
Birthday gifts as kids hit us. Here's an idea:
yes,
as kids
yeah.
hit the certain age of 12, be like, "Hey, we're
Let's
gonna
go
go out
west,
west.
buddy.
When you hit
Yeah,
12, we're gonna go."
yeah. Road trip with dad. Give mom a break for all those years that she had to watch all you guys while I was out in the woods. So yeah, this season of life is not gonna. It's just I need to be realistic and mindful of the
Yeah.
fact that I have a family and they come first. So from whitetail perspective, I'll get out when I get out. But it's been kind of cool. We started I have to call it a TV show just to make it known that it's not the podcast, but it's not like on Carbon, or it's not on like Outdoor Pursuit or whatever the hell it is, Sportsman's Channel, all that stuff. It's just on Carbon
Yeah.
TV and YouTube. But we hired a video crew, a videography crew to follow us around with cameras because I'm not gonna try to self film. I don't need another thing to
No.
worry about. Like I suck at it as it is. So if I'm gonna try to turn a camera on when a deer's coming, it's just not gonna happen. Just another thing to mess up. And yeah, so that's been kind of cool. It's given me some more excuses to be like, well, no, the videographer's here from Alaska or from the trip he just got back on from Colorado. Like he's here for 2 days. I'm gonna go hunt those 2 days. My wife's like, all right, well, I understand. It's clearly tied back to the business. You pay this guy, you should be out there with him. You're the ringleader of this whole freaking Okayest circus. So like you can go hunt. That's been kind of a cool thing to like have in my back pocket to get some more time. Some might be like, well, you're just hunting for content. No, content's allowing me to hunt right now. You would better believe that. And the show's been cool. I've really enjoyed it. It's like The Office, but deer hunting. Like I again, different, not better. I don't need another over dramatized deer hunt. It's deer hunting. It's not, we're not killing aliens. This isn't Predator. They're deer. They get hit by cars. 12-year-olds with face paint kill them. Like yes, they're hard, and the wily whitetail at a mature age is a tough thing to kill in their own bedroom. But nonetheless, I enjoy the humor of what we bring to the show, and what that's kind of done again to loosen the belt buckle on the industry a little bit and let people realize they can have a good time out here, and not take it so seriously.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree with you more. It's and I love, again, the relatability that you put out there, that you still enjoy hunting, you absolutely love whitetail, but you don't necessarily have the time to put in like oh shoot, what's his name? I want to say it's Mark, the guy
Kenyon,
that's do what?
Mark Kenyon with Wired to Hunt, or
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
So you don't have the time like he does to get out there
yeah.
and
Then
do all the things.
expectations have to match and align with
Hmm.
reality. Like
Hmm.
I can't expect that I'm going to get 150 plus inch whitetail when I can only hunt like 4 or 5 times a year. Like, that's
Mhm.
unrealistic. And so I try to communicate that to people like, whoa, you're a 38-year-old man killing a spike. Like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I got kids that want to eat some venison, dude. And that might be the only deer I see and or have a shot on. Do I want the bigger one? Fuck yeah, man. Who doesn't? Of course
Yeah.
I want that one. Like, that's what I'm after.
Well, there's more
But
meat too.
I need to be realistic about what I can get by with.
Yeah.
And for me, killing something is a memory. Like, I'll make plenty of memories not killing something, but I killed an 8-point with my gun last year because I was like, well, look, I botched opportunities on a 150-inch deer twice on public land with my bow, just because they're smart and hard to kill. And when I went gun hunting, I was like, if I see a deer, I'm gonna freaking kill that thing. I don't care what it is. I'm killing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. There's 600,000 people out here in Blaze Orange in the state of Wisconsin trying to do the same thing. I'm like, if something's running past me, someone's gonna shoot it. And at this point, I want the meat in my freezer. And my daughter's like obsessed with venison meat, so she's hassling me. Like, when are you gonna get deer, Dad? I'm like, well, your dad's the okayest hunter. Maybe never. Like, quit busting my chops, girl. So yeah, I think like expectations and reality need to align. And right now, that is not a reasonable expectation for me to think that I can accomplish that. I'm not that great of a hunter. Knowledge has compounded over years. I've gotten, to be quite honest, quite a lot better. Like, far more. I had a shot at 115 deer last year. That's not normal to have that opportunity twice. Like, I got my biggest deer to date back here 2 years ago. How exciting. Like, I closed the deal on it. I was able to get it done. I was able to read the wind, find the setup, figure where they are, all the stuff that you would piece together. That puzzle, solving for that puzzle every year, like, it's like summer school, or like you get done with school and like you have to spend the first semester of the next year relearning what you forgot over summer break. I just finally got good. I finally beat this level or figure out how to beat this boss, but then someone unplugged the game and I have to wait 9 months to go do it again. And so I love plugging back in and like getting revved back up and like putting all that critical thought to use again and like trying to get it done. So like, yeah, I did pass on a spike last year. I walked way too far back into a property thinking I would kill something big, and like the tiniest yearling spike came by and I was like, man, I was shaking in my boots. I should have shot that thing. But I was like, I don't want to drag this guy out for all the work I just did. I felt bad for him. I was like, he's just so stupid. He doesn't even know what's going on. Like, I know I can punch my tag on something that'll make me feel a little better. And I've graduated into that, and it felt interesting. And so people are like, you didn't kill it? You're the okayest hunter. Your logo is a tiny antler. I'm like, yeah, the logo doesn't promote killing spikes. The logo is to be different, not better, because every logo in the entire hunting industry is the most big, beautiful rack you've ever seen. We're the only one with the freaking 6-inch, tine. So it just, our message is like, there's more to the hunt than the inches of the antler. And in that case, there was more to that hunt than the inches of that antler. So it can go both directions.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's obviously it's cool to see a big bull, a big buck. It's cool to see those things. To me, what's even more interesting is every time I see one, I want to ask the story behind it. Because I want to know, like, how did you do that? What effort did you put in? And it's not every single time, but the majority of the time when someone's killing big bulls or big bucks, they have put in an extensive amount of effort into it, whether it be with scouting or things like that. And it's stuff that I want to learn from them, and not just this, like the antler. Again, antlers are cool, but like, I put this guy up here because he's my first bull, and some people call him a raghorn, and I'm like, dude, he was freaking legal in Colorado, and it was the last day.
People don't know circumstances. Like, circumstances are unique to every individual, state, scenario, situation. First hunt with your kid, last with your grandpa, first out of state, first with a gun, with a bow, last day of the season. Like, there's so many variables. You could be going through your own health stuff. Like, and then for people to just judge without any of that context on the internet is where I take up claim and stake as to where our brand stands for. And I'm like, back off. You don't have a clue what that's all about. So
yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. It's, and I love anytime someone's harvested something, unless they're out there, there's certain things that cross a line, obviously, like the heart with blood all over your face and all this stuff like that takes a different turn. But
like,
yeah, exactly. But and it's okay to take those pictures if that's something that's interesting to you, but also being out there as, in the hunting world, wanting to bring people in, and the people that we're trying to I wouldn't say convince, but the people that we're trying to reach are the non-hunters. It's not the anti-hunters. It's the people that are in the middle. That's a huge majority of people out there that just don't know what's going on. They don't have an understanding of what hunting is. And if their first picture is that, then they're kind of like, okay, these guys are psychopaths. Versus you out there kind of looking a little bit more humble as you're whatever it is that your experience is, whether you pray over the deer, whether you're giving thanks to nature, whatever it is for you, your experience, explaining that experience without blood all over the place and looking like, the Ted Bundy or whatever. You want to portray that story if you're going to put it out there to social media. And then with your buddies, maybe say, honestly, I maybe had to take a second shot because this, that, or the other. And my first shot sucked because I was nervous and shaking in my boots, whether it was a spike or a
Punch
doe or
trigger,
whatever.
yeah, all this stuff, yeah. No, it does
Exactly.
matter. It's interesting because I hear and understand the narrative of the argument of like, well, we should be able to be unapologetic and put out what we want, right? We should. That's not the world we live in. Like back in the day when Polaroids were posted up on the wall of the local freaking hunting store you went to, the only people that trafficked that store were people that were in there looking to buy hunting stuff. Like you weren't worried about the tree hugger Sally that was coming through going, oh my God, these offend me. Like it didn't happen. Like, and it's not that I give a shit about Sally the tree hugger who's going to be offended. Like I shouldn't have to care about that. But to your point, the middle is all the people that don't hunt. They carry the middle is where things can be swayed, and we want to portray in such a way that those people go, oh, I get that. I see the story here. That's meaningful. They're not all savages. And the narrative that people have of us in their heads, which I talked about on the show we just did last week on our podcast, was literally happened. I was putting my canoe in, and a lady saw me putting my canoe in, was like, what are you can't hunt here. I'm like, well, I know I can't hunt here, so I'm going in the river to hunt down there. And she's like, is it legal? Is it, you're trespassing? I'm like, I'm not. I can show you all the maps and the city ordinances. Like, it's not trespassing. She's like, well, are you just going to go maim an animal and drink beer in your stand? I was like, absolutely not. Where are you getting these thoughts from? Why do you think that that's what we're going to do? Well, that's just what I've heard and I see all these photos of you hunters in camouflage and paint on your face. And she's like mad and upset. And she was getting, and I was like, so my adrenaline's up because I'm like in this defensive posture. And we eventually got to this point where like I was showing her pictures of my kids, showing how they're in the outdoors with me. And I'm like, look, I own a business too. And I can't I would never do these things that you're talking about. That's not a good look for us. Like this is what you're talking about is probably 1% of the bad eggs that are ruining it for the bunch of us. The majority are people like myself that are out here for the experience, the intrinsic value. And she walked away as a subscriber to our YouTube channel.
That's awesome.
I mean, like, but that narrative, like, I have no idea who planted that seed, how it grew into what it was, and it was crazy off the target. And so, again, if you give her that self-fulfilling prophecy of like, oh yeah, it's affirmative. Those people do those things. That's what I thought. They're bad. Like those people are going to take away what we care about because there's just more of them than us. Again, going back to how small the hunting industry is to make money, and like there's not a lot of us out there. We're a very small percentage of the population, especially when you consider the voting population. And of the people that do hunt and vote, there's even fewer of that. So like it's just it's a game of just mindfulness and respect of the animal and what it is that we love, and try to put it in the best light possible. And if you're going to share the other stuff, just share it via text or something. You don't have to put it on social.
No, and I think that's a great point too, because I know we're falling short on time here, but I would like to end there just with the fact that I love that you took the time to speak to that lady instead of getting upset, instead of
there could have been a bad mouth dialogue happening there. Oh, I can hunt.
Oh yeah,
you crazy like it could have been bad. And the easiest way to get someone's walls down is to live in their frame, make them feel seen, hear them, let them talk, I had to get her through her delivery of all the shit she had to say about me. And only then, after she felt heard and seen, could she hear and see me. And if I would have just kept like throwing her narrative back at her, it wouldn't have gone well.
Yeah, and maybe get her a different movie to watch than Escanaba in the Moonlight. Like maybe I had to watch that this last year, and I got introduced to that, and I was like, oh man, no wonder people think.
No doubt. Yeah.
But no, that's a good point. Outside of even just social media in life, like how are you carrying yourself? If you're wearing camo out, like either people look at you as someone in the military or someone that's into hunting. One of the two. There's not really many other people that wear camo out in the public, and so and even then, how are you carrying yourself? Are you being rowdy? Are you, you know, uh, just being crazy and all that, or are you walking around with a respectful demeanor?
Yeah.
When people interact with you,
Yeah.
because that's what the impression is that they're going to get. Maybe she's seen
Dude,
people
if
at a tailgating
you're in
party or something.
the military, Marine Corps, or Navy, whatever, like you withhold yourself even as a civilian in civilian attire when you're serving for the DoD. You're expected to uphold your haircut, your clean shaven face. What you wear can't be wrinkled. Like, you have to still carry yourself like a Marine, even when you're not doing Marine Corps stuff. If you're on leave, you're a fucking Marine. Like, you better honor that and respect that. And you wear the uniform. So by the time you get back in, you better be the same person in and out of it to some degree. And obviously, hunting isn't the DoD. There's not you can't go. I'm gonna go sign a dotted line to be a deer hunter. Like, there's no governing body. But that's why we have to police ourselves, and we should carry ourselves in a way that, like, is respectable to
Yeah.
what it is we're pursuing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with that 100%. So I definitely appreciate everything you put out there. And of course, people out there, I recommend, if you're listening to this, go and check out their podcast over there at the Okayest Hunter. You're on all platforms, I imagine.
Yep.
I know I mainly listen to Spotify, but yeah, they're on all platforms. Also, go check out the YouTube channel, and of course the Instagram, where you're going to find all those funny little clips that Eric and the team are putting out there. It's something that you can share with other people. You can get a laugh out of. You can relate to. There's a lot of good things that you guys have put out there, and I really appreciate. So go support Eric and the crew over there at the Okayest Hunter. Is there anywhere else that you'd like them to go?
No, I mean, yeah, you got YouTube and OkayestHunter.com, and we do have a podcast network. There's 10 shows on our feed now. They're all very tied and tethered to the mantra of Okayest Hunter, so they all imbue the same kind of notes and tones and messages. But it's Okayest Fisher, Okayest Cook. We have Okayest Trapper. We have Western Territory. Some of these podcasts don't all have the Okayest name in them, but they're all part of the same network. So should be something for any outdoor itch that you have in all the categories that follow the notes of our brand. So that's it.
Awesome. I love it, man. Well, I appreciate your time today, Eric. And guys, I'm going to leave all the links down below where you can find Eric and his crew, all those links that we mentioned. And you can even go buy some merch if you guys feel like you're an Okayest Hunter and you want to represent with the tiny antler. Like I feel like I represent quite a bit. Then definitely go and check that out. And just remember, guys, as you're out there, in the hunting space, especially, make sure you're carrying yourself appropriately. Make sure you're having good dialogue with people, taking the time to help other people understand, what you're all about. And then, of course, take pride in what you're doing. What Eric and his team talks about here with being great and shaking in the boots for a spike or a doe. Like, don't feel ashamed about those types of feelings. And if you end up killing something that isn't comparable to someone that goes and hunts on the Deseret Ranch out here, that doesn't matter. It's what is it for you? Tell that story with pride and enjoy that. So again, thanks so much, Eric, for hopping on here.
You betcha. Thank you.
All right, you guys have a fantastic day. And like I always say, get out, live your life, and love it. Hope you enjoyed that conversation there with Eric. He's an amazing individual that just shares his passion for the outdoors, for hunting, and being the okayest hunter that we feel like sometimes. Sometimes we don't feel like we're always crushing it. And so I love that he hits on that, has built a community. Go check out his podcast and what he's got going on over at his channel. I'll leave those links down below. Guys, I really appreciate you. If you liked this video or the podcast, if you're listening to the audio only version, definitely leave a review, subscribe to the channel, follow wherever you're listening, and leave a comment on YouTube. It helps way more than you know, and I definitely appreciate you guys for that. If you want to support monetarily, if you're already in the market for gear, supplements, things that I've talked about, links are down below, guys. Go check it out. All of those items are gear that I actually use, that I appreciate, and that's why I've partnered up with them so that we can get you the best price possible, and in turn you can support me and my partners as well by getting the best gear on the market. So with that being said, thank you so much. Have a fantastic day, and good luck in September if you're after elk. If not, good luck out in the woods and whatever tags you may have in your pocket. Have a fantastic one, and of course, get out, live your life, and love it.